Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Tom Spark and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out 10 VPN related things that trigger me like crazy. I'm going to get pissed off in this video. Just you wait. Hey guys, it's Tom. Just a quick thing here. If you do want to help support the channel, consider clicking on some of the links in the description down below, using my promo code, or visiting vpntierlist.com. This is my full-time job, and your guys' support lets me continue to be able to do objective, non-biased reviews just like the ones you've seen on the channel. Anyways guys, back to the video. The number one thing that pisses me off about VPNs is when people say, you shouldn't use that VPN, it's based within the 14 eyes. Everything your VPN does is going to be sent to the government because of gag orders. And now the people who say this stuff aren't lawyers. They don't really know anything about the way the law works, and basically the way it works is that if a government is trying to go after an individual, they might go to that VPN and serve up some kind of gag order or ask that VPN for information about that user if they found out that user was using that VPN. Worst case scenario, the VPN gives up some form of metadata or whatever they have available. VPN might give up some metadata on this user. However, for everyone else using this service, it's not like the VPN just handed over everyone else's information. And that's the distinction that's very important. They're kind of assuming automatically that you're going to draw the attention of some kind of spy agency or something like that. Most people who are using VPNs are just torrenting, bypassing geo restrictions, protecting their anonymity and privacy from global surveillance and internet service providers, and none of these people are going to likely be targeted specifically by spy agencies, so in the end, it doesn't really matter. Another thing that really triggers me on my channel is when people say, hey Tom, the only reason you recommend TorGuard is because you're a shill, or it makes you rich recommending it. And I find this very ironic because TorGuard, among others on my channel like WeVPN, AirVPN, OVPN, Cactus VPN, and among others that I rate very highly, all have industry low commission rates, which means I actually make less money recommending these services than I would other services like NordVPN, ExpressVPN, and Surfshark, all which have very high payout percentages. So if I didn't recommend the VPNs that I did and recommended more of the commonly recommended ones, I would actually probably have somewhere between 3 to 5 times more money than I do now. So by recommending the services that I do, it's not like I'm making as much money as I could recommending other ones. At the end of the day, I pick these VPNs or recommend them to you because it's the easiest thing to do. By making factual based reviews that are more about tests and analysis and stuff like that, I kind of just leave it up to the data and show what VPNs are best in terms of price, the features they offer, and stuff like that. It's really an easier job for me because I don't have to spin some kind of narrative on why you should use a more expensive VPN or something like that. Another thing that really triggers me is when someone says, hey, you don't like Molvad or iVPN or any other VPN that doesn't have an affiliate program simply because they don't have an affiliate program. A lot of the VPNs that don't have affiliate programs are actually very lacking in specific areas, which means that I'm able to rate these VPNs very fairly and give them their due course, and it doesn't really affect the monetary compensation of my channel. However, that said, throughout my entire time reviewing these VPNs on my channel, these services haven't really changed at all in terms of what I want them to improve. That's because services like Molvad are very slow in terms of development. They only just barely released their iOS application a year or so ago. They still don't work with streaming compatibility, and they also don't have a lot of the application features that I'm looking for. Other VPNs like iVPN are extremely expensive and also don't really have good streaming compatibility, although they are pretty good across the board. Same with Molvad as well. However, that said, I do rate these VPNs fairly, and my critiques about them, like the expensive pricing plan with iVPN or it's not working with stream compatibility, or my complaints with Molvad, are completely valid and just objective. I'm giving them their fair review even though they don't have affiliate programs. That's just how it works here on the channel. Number 4, something that really triggers me is that when people say, don't use a VPN, just use the Tor Network. And why does that bug me? Well, that's because the Tor Network and the VPNs are actually very different things. Tor is more of a browser that you can use to give you some level of anonymity, and the only problem is that it really slows down your connection, and it's not really as useful for VPN in certain aspects. So when someone says just use Tor and don't need a VPN, it's like they're kind of missing the big picture, and they're just kind of trying to make some clickbait kind of controversial statement, even though they grudgingly do admit that there are reasons to use a VPN over the Tor network. Number 5, something that really pisses me off about VPNs is just general pricing models. Too many VPNs have weird count-on clock timers to trick customers into a false sense of urgency, and most VPNs have some kind of weird form of discount pricing that it's really confusing to tell what the best price is. Not only that, but a lot of VPNs kind of prey on people with this subscription model, charging your card month after month, even if it's declined, trying to get that money out of you as much as possible. That's just kind of something with the subscription industry, but most of my top-rated VPNs on the channel are less predatory in terms of the subscription model than a lot of other VPNs out there. Number 7 is that sometimes people will come to my channel and leave a comment saying, hey, I can't trust your review system at all. That's because you rated this VPN higher than my favorite VPN. Everyone knows that my favorite VPN is better than that VPN you rated high. Stuff like PureVPN, for example. People say, hey, nobody trusts PureVPN or something like that. Why do you rate it so high? And if you look at the scoring of the VPN service itself, you'll see that the reputation score is a 0. It's not really that trusted on my channel. However, across the board, PureVPN can be pretty affordable. It also has pretty good customer support, it works well with streaming, and the applications are actually quite decent. So the review system itself is an aggregate of all these different components. Just because a VPN has had a couple issues giving up data or something like that, doesn't mean that for some people out there it could be a useful product as long as they're aware about that reputation score. If I were to weight VPNs, maybe 95% based on privacy and trust or something like that, and all the other features kind of got left by the wayside, I think that would present a biased picture of what VPNs are better than others. Luckily, at the end of the day, these VPNs actually don't get purchased much on my channel, so even though you might have something like PureVPN kind of being an anomaly in that it's actually a pretty good service, just not trusted that much by generally other people or its history, even though it is rated a little bit higher than some other VPNs that I would consider more trustworthy, no one on my channel is really buying PureVPN. I think this year in totality I made like $20 recommending it to people, which is just like 1 or 2 people, and so no one's really buying it. No one's really investing into these VPNs and these scores as if it's something they should buy. And that's the point of the tier list overall, is recommending people generally the best product for their general use case, and that's I think what it's successful at doing. Number 8 is I really get triggered by fake reviews and fake review channels. Now this is kind of a touchy area. How do you define a fake review? How do you define legitimate viewership? And that's something that's definitely tricky to do. I've made tons of videos on some of these channels I find a little bit suspicious, whether it's because they have too many views, too many likes, not enough comments, channels that just kind of come out of nowhere and suddenly get more views than me, even though I've been doing this for 6 years, voices that match each other on different channels that will disappear and then reappear as a different name posting the same videos. It's honestly getting super confusing on YouTube, I think, for customers trying to find good products related to VPN, but also for me, it's annoying because they are kind of competing with me in a way that's kind of unfair. Additionally, there's tons of corporate magazines out there that have mastered search engine optimization and dominate the search rankings with generic top 5 VPN lists that are just a collection of the highest paying VPNs in terms of commissions and how much money they can make recommending them. That's also annoying. Number 9, something that really annoys me is that if there isn't a legitimate VPN reviewer out there, lots of times they will kind of recommend VPNs based on one category heavily skewed. Now I was talking about this a little bit more. VPN reviewers who recommend things and rate VPNs skew it in a weird way, and they don't kind of make it like a balanced aggregate score like I do. For example, a lot of VPN reviewers out there will completely fail to mention any kind of pricing component, so they're not really comparing VPNs in terms of how affordable they are for you as the end consumer. Not only that, but they not even mention streaming compatibility, so if you want to use VPNs to block geo restrictions, or they might just even fail to mention common things like simultaneous connections, SOC 5 proxy, if it works on a Linux with a graphical user interface. There's so many little nitty-gritty details that a lot of reviewers miss, and they just focus on things like, is the VPN open source? Does it have audits? Okay, it's the best VPN now. Even though there's so many other VPNs out there that do so many things better overall, they still kind of focus on these specific VPNs and recommend them for people to use just because they have a couple buzzwords like that, and then people use these VPNs and find out like, hey, the consistency of the connection isn't that good. I keep getting disconnected. The consistency of the speeds isn't that good. My torrents are going too slow. You know, at the end of the day, a VPN, I think the most important thing is that it has to have features and usability so you can actually use it. You're not going to want to use a VPN that's maybe private and trustworthy if it's just not good to use, if it slows down your internet connection, if it doesn't do what it wants you to do, if it can't achieve the goal that you set out to even do on your computer alongside VPN being protecting you. So that's just something that kind of is on my mind a lot. Number 10, something that really bugs me about VPNs is a lot of them simply do not change. I've given a lot of VPNs critical feedback, and most of them end up ignoring my channel. And I think that's because most VPNs aren't really interested in improving that much. Most VPNs are run like a business, and you can see that in terms of the pattern of acquisitions. VPNs are selling out, being sold to huge corporate companies, and at the end of the day, a lot of VPN companies, all they care about is profit. They don't really care about lowering the price to make it more competitive. They don't really care about adding that many more features. They don't care about maybe even adding something like a dark mode, or just kind of making the overall user experience, or making the customer support, or even just making the community more friendly. A lot of VPNs just don't care about this stuff. And I understand that a lot of VPNs can only work on so many things at once, but some VPNs skew so heavily in one direction. And I think that is definitely annoying for me as a reviewer, being frustrated not seeing the VPNs make some changes that I've been asking for years. Anyways, guys, those are just my thoughts on some of the things that trigger me related to VPNs. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments down below. What triggers you about VPNs? What triggers you about specific ones, or even the communities behind VPNs? And I'll see you in the next video very soon.